it has gone beyond that.
Is it that the people there, but is it that people are giving birth too much?
But of course, we need to grow as a country, so that's fine.
You raised some things that will require further discussions. So if I'm building a house, like I've built my new house and I need water to flow in that house, where do I start from? And how do I even know if it's pure? How do I test for the purification of the water and all of that?
First of all, your location is very important. If you know your location, whether it's an urban community, whether it's a small town, whether it's a village, you know the authority to go to. Now, in the urban sectors, Ghana Water will be there. So if you are building in an urban environment, you go to Ghana Water to see if their line is close or they distribute to your area. Because now, urban development is out raising government utility supply.
Okay.
So you may be building even in an urban area, but Ghana Water has no lines there. So you may not be able to access water from Ghana Water.
Okay.
If it's a small town, then you go to Community Water and Sanitation Agency if they have an office there to ask that they bring a line to your house.
Okay.
If it's a village, normally we don't have small town projects in village, so there may be manual boreholes. Okay. You may not be able to connect a manual borehole to your house. So if it's an urban place and you don't have, if you have Ghana Water line there, you can go request and they will bring a line. If they don't have, then the obvious source is to get your domestic source of water, which I would recommend a borehole would do.
Borehole, okay.
If it is a small town, if community water is close and can supply you, fine. If not, a borehole or groundwater can still serve you. If it's a village or a farm where you don't have Ghana Water, community water, and manual boreholes too cannot supply water to your home, you still have to go for groundwater or borehole. So borehole is a panacea for me. I would recommend borehole for any person who wants to build a house. Borehole. Okay. It should be part of your budgeting for building a new house, so that you know you have reliable water even for the construction phase of your project. Okay. And then you also have secured and reliable source of water for your usage whilst you stay in the house after the project. Okay. And I think it's the most reliable, whether in urban, peri-urban or rural communities.
So the boreholes, will it be an alternative to the Ghana Water Company supply?
Let me add this one. So just as he said, even if Ghana Water can supply water to your house, yes,
you should still get a borehole.
Yes, it's your choice to get to make a borehole. Because probably Ghana Water may sometimes not be able to supply you 100%. So once you have your borehole,
that's true,
you are good to go. So for borehole, yes, it's good.
So it's a matter of reliability here. Yeah. Sometimes some places Ghana Water pumps water once a week. So you may be on the Ghana Water line and still be buying water from different sources. So why don't you get your own borehole? Even if the yield is not so much and it can serve your house, you know that every day you have water.
That's true. So in our homes, sometimes when we open the taps, we see some colored water, and it's coming from Ghana Water Company. So how do we? You talked about testing for the quality of water. How do we test for the quality of water? And if we know the quality of water, what can we do about it?
Okay, so from basic science, we know that water must be tasteless, colorless, and odorless. Yeah. So if you have any water flowing through your tap and it has color, taste, and it has odor, then there's a problem. So I would say that based on the pollution levels of our water bodies through galamsey and other activities, turbidity is something that Ghana Water is currently fighting about. And so if any water comes to your house and it is having color, then it is not properly treated, or there's maybe a small compromise in the treatment process. But normally they will observe it over time and rectify it, because they do quality control and quality assurance within the process. But there may be failure. Sometimes the pipelines can be disconnected and they can add other debris and other things to the water, and it may bring odor and all those things. Now, two, how do you know? So I've mentioned about taste, color, and odor. That's what you use to know there's a problem. Now, there are other scientific ways. There are these meters. As individuals, you can have a pH meter, a turbidity meter in your home. Yes, I will encourage people to be sure of what they are taking. So sometimes buy these meters. When you use water every month, you can fetch a cup, put your turbidity meter, your pH meter, your whatever meter. All the chemicals in water have their meters. When you have about a number of them, particularly TDS meter, TDS meter, total dissolved solvent meter, pH meter. Some have hardness and all those things. If you check it and the TDS is beyond a particular value, I think 1,000, then there's a problem. You shouldn't be drinking such water. You know, WHO has standards for all the chemicals that are supposed to be in water. Both the physical properties and the chemical properties. So if you check these things with the equipment you have and it's not right, you can get Ghana water and still treat it to make it purer before you drink. So there are ways of treating anything that happens. Once it is water, you can treat it.
You can treat it before drinking
you consume. Very important, because food will enter your stomach. You know, water I know will come out again.
That's interesting. So let me add some to what he said. So yes, he rightly stated it. Color, odor, and then the next
taste.
The taste. Very good. So you see the components of water when it comes to its quality, we have two: the chemical and then the physical. Whatever that we have mentioned are the physical ones.
Sure.
Yes. But when it comes to the chemical aspect, I think Ghana Water is doing everything in their power to make sure that all the chemical components of water are all right per WHO standards. Very good. But the physical aspect, just as you said, sometimes even the pipelines, they've been used for a very long time. And as the water is coming, it can get choked somewhere, and then some elements will affect the distribution, and that may change the color. But specifically, maybe the chemical components are all right. So in treating, because we are individuals, and then in Ghana, it's difficult for us to say, I've picked a sample of my tap water, I'm going to the lab and then go and do a test to see. Because I think the education on these things are very low. Most of us, we don't even know what are the chemical components of water and what are the limits. At what point can I say that, oh, this water is not safe for me? We don't know. So what we intend to do as we are discussing and going for it, we'll be coming out with all those things and then be educating people that these are the limits. If you get this, if you know this, if you do that, they know that the water is not good for consumption. And then one other way that you can also treat your water is through some filtration processes. For instance, yes, we have some filtration systems in the market that you can buy and then fix it somewhere through your pipelines, so that at least with the physical components, if the color is bad, when it passes through the filter systems, it may be able to reduce the bad one, the concentration, and then what will come out will be good for you. But as Jamon said, to get all those meters that we are talking about, the pH meter, the TDS, even sometimes you can get it, but if you don't have the technical know-how, how will you be able to
use it?
to do it? So it becomes a challenge. So always what we have to do for our own safety, because water is a precious commodity. And if you don't take care and then you consume anything, at the end of the day, you are putting your health into risk. Consider the fact that Ghana here, look at the pollution we are causing to our water bodies.
It's bad.
Through Gamsi activities. I think we'll come there and then we'll look at that one so into details. As I said earlier on, Ghana Water is doing very well to make sure that our water systems or our water distributions are not compromised. But hey, if you suspect any of these physical things, please do some small filtration, and then the rest consult an expert. Then we can take care of that.
Right, so you talked about Ghana Water Company doing all they can to get us clean water, but what are some of the challenges they are facing in their quest to provide us with clean water?
I would say that if you have the chance of reading the history of Ghana Water, you realize that from Nkrumah's time, when it was limited to specific regions, to when it became Ghana Water Works, Ghana Water and Sewage Corporation, Aqua Vitens run. Remember, before coming back to Ghana Water, they've always had issues of insufficient funding to maintain their pipelines, pumps, and equipment. And for that reason, they are not able to supply efficiently. I also say that urbanization in Ghana is running ahead of the utilities. So most areas are not covered by the utility suppliers like Ghana Water. So lack of funding from governments, and then they themselves not able to bill and collect their bills properly and promptly to aid maintenance and other things. I think those are some of the major things. One other major thing which I think now is an issue all Ghanaians have to rise against is this galamsey thing.
Yeah.
For example, recently we saw how the Daboasi Waterways is struggling to treat their water. The raw water that should come have a particular concentration, but now most of them are having TDS beyond 14,000, and when you need something like just 1,000.
14,000
plus, and also I think those ones are human. I mean, they are caused by humans,
Yeah.
and because they are caused by humans, when the cause is stopped, those things can also. So I would say that galamsey is one other challenge affecting water supply in Ghana. Now, Eddie talked about the physical and chemical aspects. Now, the challenge is that Ghana Water normally treats surface water, and so if there is through galamsey, mercury, arsenic, lead, cyanide in the surface water, we call this one heavy metals. They are calculating parts per billion. It means that when a small one enters your body, it can magnify and destroy you.
Wow.
So galamsey is something that everybody must rise against to ensure that the utilities providers like Ghana Water are able to give us the right type or quality of water to our households. So if you are a galamseyer, if you are a Ghanaian, you know someone who does galamsey, if you are a chief and you know someone doing galamsey in your community and you are quiet, you are part of the problems of the Ghana water supply system. And we all need to stop it and make sure that every Ghanaian is made safe. I think those are some of the challenges I can mention on top of my head.
Okay, so let me add something to it. So recently I watched a news article on the TV, and then the current managing director of Ghana Water Company, he was in the northern region, specifically Tamale. You know, Tamale have a lot of water supply issues. Yes. So one of the major challenges that he was trying to explain with in relation to water supply in Tamale was that initially the system was designed to supply about 10 to 11 million gallons of water a day. But now with urbanization, the community or Tamale township, it has gone beyond that.
Is it that the people is it that people are giving birth too much?
But of course, we need to grow as a country, so that's fine. So he was like, now the current demand is about 23 million gallons per day.
A day. Wow.
And the maximum capacity of the existing system is about 10 to 11. And now they are not even doing a maximum capacity. They are now doing about 8 to 9 gallons a day. So you can imagine,
is it millions?
Million gallons. Okay. Yes. So now you see the gap.
Yeah.
So one of the major issues that he was also talking about is the machines that they are using itself. He says one of the machines are as old as Nkrumah's time, and it has not been replaced.
Yeah, so lack of funding.
So the funding, so lack of funding, and then urbanization. Yeah, then the pollution levels in our water systems. These things are affecting Ghana Water seriously, and then because of that, they are not being able to serve the people as they want to. But I believe that yes, in as much as they are trying to serve the people, then they should also look at what you said, how their revenue mobilization.
Yeah.
Of course, Ghanaians maybe probably we don't want to pay bills
for anything. We want free things.
So if they can look at their revenue mobilization aspects, guided by PRC, and then they are able to utilize the small ones that they get, I think they should be able to look at these issues and then solve them. The issues are, I think, in three phases: the funding, their whole system, and then the pollution level. When it comes to the pollution level, you and I has a lot of things to do, including the government in power, trying to stop galamsey activities. And mind, it's not only galamsey activity that pollute our water.
Rubbish.
The
sea.
Yes.
A lot of things go into the sea.
Yes. So we must all do our part to make sure that we don't pollute our water bodies. They
in our gutters, because they will all end in the water bodies.
The gutters?
Yes.
Wow.
They do. These water bodies God gave to us for our own survival. And if you do anything that will jeopardize our systems, we are in trouble. So please, everybody do your part. Do your part to make sure that we preserve our water bodies. Because if you don't take care, I don't want to be a prophet of doom. But people are predicting that a time will come, we'll start importing water from outside. And
but we are forgetting those who have been felling trees.
Yes.
It's also, you see, so when you lock the trees for firewood, for charcoal, for timber and things, it also affects the water cycle.
Yes.
So there will be no be proper. You know, the water system, both surface and groundwater, is recharged by rainfall. So if you cut the trees and there is no rainfall, how will you get the recharge? So it's also one of the, so most of the things also come from us. We need to plant more trees as individuals. When you build your house, put 2 or 3 trees over there. Let's stop cutting trees for firewood. There is liquefied petroleum gas. Gas are boom. But let's change our attitude.
Yeah.
And we can solve a lot of the problems we have.
So yes, we've come to the end of our podcast for today. I hope we've learned a lot. From where I'm sitting, I've learned so much about Ghana's water. I was just sitting in the house thinking water is coming from wherever it's coming from, but there's a lot that goes on before we get water in our homes. So please, like I said, let's stop pollution, let's stop galamsey, and let's be safe. Thank you, and watch out for more to learn, for more to explore. See you again some other time.